YouTube, how's it going? The GOAT House is back. And in this video, I'm going through every single NFL team and giving you their most underrated player, in my opinion. I did the same video for the overrated players. Think everyone will like this video a little more. I got a little bit of hate on the other one. Understandable. But I think it comes with the video. But this one should be much better for you guys. And right before we get started, a couple things. You guys can join our private Discord chat, Pick'ems League, and get plenty more by checking out that link in the description. Also, it's at the top of your screen right now, patreon.com/thegoathouse. Discord chat's pretty cool. A lot of constant NFL discussions going on in there. We can talk during live games. Some of you are already in it. Very cool. Subscriber goals, 40K by the end of this year. Please help us out by subscribing. You're going to want to turn the notifications on. You're going to want to click that like button. Check out our Twitter for constant NFL action. We'll have full coverage during the NFL season for the NFL. That starts next week already. I'm pumped. Recaps every single week. Power rankings, predictions, every game, all year long. Regular season and playoffs, so hopefully you can join us for that. Let's get on to the underrated players. Start with the Cardinals. I went with Brooks Reed. I always thought he's a little underrated. Pretty much his whole career. He always got after the quarterback, high motor guy, and doesn't get enough appreciation, I guess. Kind of always known as a rotation guy when I think he could start. Could still be a rotation guy in the Cardinals, but it wouldn't surprise me if he got more production than Terrell Suggs this year for the Cardinals. So a guy to look out for. For the Falcons, I went with Mohamed Sanu. I think a legit number 2 receiver, and he could be the number 3 receiver with Calvin Ridley on the up, being an up-and-comer there. But I think he could be a legit number 2 receiver on a lot of different teams. Gets open, catches the ball, can high point the ball, can do, very good athlete, can do a lot, and he can throw the ball too. So, I don't think he gets the appreciation he deserves there. Mohamed Sanu, the receiver from the Falcons. On to the Ravens. Patrick Owasso from the Ravens. They're the linebacker that's, been very good and hasn't really, another one that really hasn't got the respect that he deserves. He's been an animal the last couple of years, especially last year, and people think they lost C.J. Mosley. They're in trouble in that position, and this really isn't the guy that's stepping up for him. He was kind of playing already with C.J. Mosley, but, he's going to make more of an impact, not because Mosley's gone, but because people are looking for that next Mosley, looking for that next guy, and he's getting better every year. This has got to be, one of my favorite players, not on my favorite team, just because, I guess because he's underrated, and he's got a high motor, flying around the ball at all times. So, like this guy's game. Could be a Pro Bowler this year. For the Bills, Matt Milano, another linebacker, doesn't get enough respect. Does a little bit of everything. I thought it was having a monster year last year before he got hurt. Like I said, he does a bit of everything. He can tackle in the run game. He can cover downfield. See him get his hands on the ball quite a bit, and he can rush the passer as well. A big piece of that Bills defense. For the Panthers, I went with Dante Jackson. I wouldn't say maybe super underrated, but I think the young corners around his age, I think, get a little more appreciation. Maybe people don't talk about Dante Jackson because they're too busy talking about those guys. Somewhat of an undersized corner. For him being that, he can come up and tackle too, and I really like that. And he's got the speed. He can cover downfield, so people can give a little more respect to Dante Jackson. For the Bears, I went with Taylor Gabriel. He had a hell of a year last year, and people really don't recognize it. They talk about Allen Robinson, and they talk about a guy who's not really a receiver, Tariq Cohen, more of a threat than a guy like Taylor Gabriel. I know Anthony Miller's pretty exciting, and they drafted Riley Ridley. But Gabriel was, he was right there in terms of yards and production with Allen Robinson last year. He caught everything, didn't drop the ball last year, made some ridiculous catches, knows how to get open, underrated route runner too. So he's actually a legit receiver. You know what you're going to get from him. You're going to put him in and you can trust him. That's why, I like Taylor Gabriel. And I didn't think it was that great of a signing. I thought it was like, all right, it's a depth guy when they got him from the Falcons, but definitely more than that. The Bengals, Tyler Boyd. I think you guys know by now I like Tyler Boyd. Liked him a lot early years in Pittsburgh. Thought he was like the next best receiver. Kind of declined over the years at Pittsburgh. But now we're starting to see it. We're starting to see, what he can become, and he's still very young. I think he's a heck of a receiver, and he's on his way up. So, and I think he deserves, a little more appreciation. He could be, even when AJ Green's back, Tyler Boyd could be that number 1 receiver right away. I really think so. The Browns next, one with TJ Carey. He had himself a hell of a year last year, and people just remember kind of the Raiders, TJ Carey. Doesn't get enough respect. He played great outside corner and in a slot corner. almost lined up as a safety at times, and he was very impressive, very good job attacking the ball. I thought he had a hell of a year. Big reason for that secondary stepping up last year. So more respect could go out to TJ Carey. The Cowboys, with Dak Prescott, there are some people that are kind of high on Dak Prescott, and there's a lot of people that just constantly hate on him, maybe because, it happens more now, maybe because of the contract he asked for. But, overall, he's a clutch quarterback. He's a good quarterback. There's not too many of them in the NFL. I think people can, stop hating on him a bit. There are a few random people that think maybe overrate him a little bit, but for the most part, I think gets more disrespect than he really deserves. Broncos next. I got Cortland Sutton. I was very high on him in the draft, and then I think other people were too. Other people were kind of in the same area as me, like this guy's legit. And then as soon as he dropped out of the first round and went second round, people just kind of forget about him, and they see him as a big target, downfield guy. I think he's more than that. You can do a lot more than that with him, and he's going to continue to get better. I think, maybe not super soon, anytime really soon, but I think down the line here we can be talking about him as a top 10 receiver. For the Lions, I went Marvin Jones. I think he's got the traits and the ability of I'd say a top 15 receiver, even though he's not known as one right now. People kind of don't talk about him. He was hurt on and off last year. I think that's the reason for it. And Kenny Galladay is, I guess, their future one. But Marvin Jones can play. He has the traits. He has the ability. I've seen it. It doesn't always come all the time. I've seen it here and there, pieces. But it's enough for me to know that he's capable and that he can do this a lot more. For the Packers, I went with Kyler Fackrell. A good amount of production last year. Not a lot of people know who Kyler Fackrell is, I feel like. And he actually could be one of their best pass rushers this year. I know they signed 2 guys, but pretty solid rotation. And, he really got after the quarterback last year. Very underrated. I guess you look at him, you don't really expect too much from him, but people just don't talk about him enough. For the Texans, I went with Bradley Roby, who they just signed from the Broncos. And I think he's a pretty solid corner. I don't know why he kind of sat around for a little bit. I think he can play in slot, can play outside, can be pretty physical, and can be a playmaker. This could be kind of a breakout player. Not really enough talk on Bradley Roby. I think he could be, the Texans' most underrated player. For the Colts, I went with T.Y. Hilton. Well-known, good receiver. But it seems like the receiver debate always comes up, top-tier receivers and like the next tier of guys. And it seems like T.Y. Hilton kind of just misses that cut for everybody. They'll start bringing in guys to talk about for the top tier, or can they be top tier? Guys like, top of my head, Amari Cooper, guys like that, just because Amari Cooper's really good, but because he had a great second half of the year. And T.Y. Hilton doesn't really get brought into that discussion, even though people say he's pretty close. Just his ability to dominate games, take over games, play in the slot, play outside, in the short game do very well, in the deep ball game do very well, deep passing game. So I think he deserves to be in that conversation. Not really saying he's elite, but definitely deserves to be talked about more. I feel like he's always been underrated. It's just sometimes the undersized guys, I guess, which he shouldn't really be undersized to play receiver, but I guess they don't get the respect. For the Jags, another receiver, Marquise Lee. Marquise Lee can play, and people forgot about that. Kind of like Marvin Jones. He showed me those moments where he has the traits and he can be a very good receiver. He has the all-around talent, I think, to be a very good receiver. He missed all of last year, so people, I think, forgot about him. I think he can play. Pretty much his whole career. Was pretty darn good at USC as well. So I think people are sleeping on Marquise Lee. Excited to see him back. Excited to see him with Nick Foles. For the Chiefs, I went with Damian Williams. People are just remembering the old Damian Williams. I guess the Dolphins maybe just think he's a career backup. People hating on him for fantasy a lot too. They just don't think he's going to be the guy. He's easily the best back in Kansas City, easily the best fit there, fits the system. People know he can catch the ball and he can run outside. People don't realize he can run inside the tackles, break some tackles. He's fast. He's very strong. Another guy that's, I guess, a little smaller and people just want to sleep on. And just you need to stop sleeping on him because he can play. He definitely can play. The Chargers want Melvin Ingram. This is one of the guys that's one of the more underrated players in the NFL. He does get some respect. People know he's really good, but I think you can start considering him definitely not an elite pass rusher, but an elite football player. Yes, I said it. He does everything. You take him away from this Chargers defense, they're nothing. Really are. He does everything. He's very, very instinctive. Instincts you can't coach. You just got it or you don't. You don't have much time to kind of develop in your head what you see on the field. The offense gets on the ball. You don't get much time. Very few guys that it really stands out to me. Melvin Ingram is one of those guys. You also can play D-end, outside linebacker, inside linebacker. Seen him line up almost as a D tackle before. The man's crazy. He's a game plan nightmare, and there's not too many guys like that on the defensive side of the ball. So he does not get enough respect. The Rams went with John Johnson. I think is a future elite safety. Can't say elite right now, but I do think he's top tier. I think, I did my safety rankings. I'm pretty sure I'm higher on him than pretty much everybody. I think he carried that really the secondary at times last year. Talib missed some games here and there. Peters was on and off. I didn't think Joyner played that well last year, so I thought Johnson really carried that secondary. He's on his way to being one of the best safeties in football here in the near future. I need some more respect. The Dolphins, Albert Wilson. I always thought, even when on the Chiefs, I always thought he was an underrated weapon. Get the guy the ball more, and I think the Dolphins could try to do that. He's really good. People just view him as a shifty guy, and he's a darn good shifty guy. You get him in slants, get him on the screen passes, but I think he can go downfield as well. He's got very good vision once the ball's in his hand, so I think he's a lot better than people think. For the Vikings, easy one here, Trey Waynes. Definitely one of the more underrated players in the NFL, in my opinion, because he came out of college. They drafted him pretty high. They drafted him ahead of Marcus Peters, which looked like a fail because Marcus Peters was ridiculous early years, and he's still better than Trey Waynes. But and then Waynes didn't look so good, so everyone labeled him a bust, and they see it happen all the time with other players, and it kind of just froze in people's mind that he was a bust, and he really turned it around. He's getting better and better each year. Last year, I thought he had a very good season. I do think he's one of the better, if not maybe the best tackling corners in football. He's a sure tackler. The Vikings, unfortunately, I don't think will not be able to get him back next free agency, so that should be interesting. A guy that's getting better, so somebody could get a good young underrated corner, in my opinion, next free agency. For the Patriots, I went Kyle Van Noy. I think a bigger part of this pass rush than you think. He's just a linebacker, off the ball linebacker, but they use him in blitz packages, disguises all the time, as they do with Hightower, but Hightower gets the respect. So I think Van Noy, what they kind of developed him into, it doesn't get enough respect there. For the Saints, I went Marcus Williams. I think another easy one. People want to judge this guy off of one play, and I think everyone knows the play, and they want to judge him off that play only, and that's not fair. It's absolutely not fair. I was high on him in the pre-draft process. I still am. He's not at all like a top-tier safety or anything, but I think down the line in the future, I think he has enough upside where he can start climbing, the safety rankings. I think he's a pretty good safety. The Giants, I went with Alec Ogletree. I don't think he gets enough respect. I think he carried that linebacker unit last year. We know he's a good tackler. He can stop plays in the run game, but surprisingly very good and more athletic than people think in the pass game downfield. Saw him get his hands on the ball quite a few times last year. For the Jets, I went Robbie Anderson. He's just got to stay healthy, but I think he's a legit weapon. Another one of those like today's receivers. It doesn't really matter about the size of him, like how wide or tall he is. He's shifty. He's a playmaker, electrifying at times. So, he's got to stay healthy, but I think he's a fun player to watch. For the Raiders, I went with Garyon Conley. I think for some reason, especially around that time, the Ohio State corners, people just make a big deal about, and I think they overrate them for the most part. But for some reason, it didn't apply to Conley. I think it's maybe because the pre-draft situation he had that got cleared up. Maybe that's the only thing I can think of. But I think Conley's like on the same page as other guys, Latimer, guys like that. So I think it's surprising he doesn't get a little more respect. I don't think he's like anything great right now. He's on his way, but it's just, you expect a little more recognition out of a guy like that. For the Eagles, I went another corner, Rasul Douglas. Another one of those guys where he's had his moments that, young guy could have, but I've seen glimpses and moments of him playing really good ball and stuff that I really like. I think he's got, I think he's a true corner in today's corner too, the lengthy corner. I think he can be physical, sometimes a little too physical, but I think this could be their best corner of the future. It really depends on who they play, though. They got a long list of – they don't have anybody great out there, but they got a long list of corners that can play. I was super high on Sidney Jones before he got hurt. I think that set him back a little bit. I still think he has a lot of upside, but from what I actually seen in NFL play, I think Douglas deserves more of a shot here. I see stuff that needs work, but that he can fix it in the glimpses of him being good. So I wish he can be their starting corner out there. I'm afraid they may not do that. Steelers next. We went Bud Dupree, another one of those guys that kind of got labeled a bust because he couldn't produce early on in his career, first couple years. Pretty good production last year. Not crazy, but what they need from him, And I think he's slowly getting better over the years, and I think this could be a breakout guy for this year. And if he starts really to get going, that's pretty scary. I think the Steelers' defense could be even, pass rush can be scary. And it is his contract year, too, so he could be playing for a contract. So interesting guy to watch out for. The Seahawks are next. I went with Jaron Reed there. He, even maybe myself, I might have underrated him at one point, slept on him at one point. Maybe didn't produce right away his rookie year when we expected him to. People forget about him, but he's pretty darn good in the run game and getting after the quarterback. Unfortunately, he's going to be out for, I think it is 6 games or so, but he is still doesn't get the appreciation he deserves. A very good player and could be a future top defensive tackle in football. The Niners, I went with Tevin Coleman. Always thought he was underrated. A pretty good every down back, in my opinion. Can do pretty much everything. Run outside, run in between the tackles. And I just thought people always were just higher on Freeman. Freeman overall can do more, can, I guess, change the game more. But, people were always just way higher on Freeman than Coleman. I just thought Coleman could have been the guy, at times. I thought they can maybe overuse Freeman at times. Could have led to him getting hurt. And then Coleman, I think, got underrated by the entire league, too, sitting there in free agency and not getting a lot of money. It's not about the contract he gets because that's one team deciding. But overall, teams just didn't want him, and we thought teams were going to fight over him. So I thought that was surprising. I think he's a pretty darn good back. For Tampa, I went Carl Nassib. I thought he was good enough to be on the Browns. Didn't make the Browns team. I always thought he's a solid pass rusher that can help in the run game. I don't know if he fits the new Tampa defense as well. That's what I'm a little scared about. Curious to see where he'll exactly play. But I think he gets the job done. I think he gets after the quarterback. Surprised he bounced around teams a little bit there. For the Titans, it's Jayon Brown easily. This guy's a beast at the middle linebacker spot in every way. Can stop the run. And then can get after the quarterback. A lot of good production blitzing the quarterback. This guy could play as a pass rusher if you need him to. If you want to slide him outside, he can do it. That's how good he is. Good in coverage as well. One of my sleepers from the draft a couple years ago out of UCLA. UCLA linebackers looking pretty good. But a lot of people just think Titans linebacker. They don't really think Jayon Brown, but he was the best one last year, and he's young, and he's going to continue to get better. And then the Redskins, I went with Deron Payne. I think Deron Payne is one of the better nose tackles in football already this young in his career. We knew he can stop the run at a high level, and that's why I like these types of guys. They can stop coming into the league, this guy, no doubt he's going to stop the run at a very high level, could be elite stopping the run right away. If an NFL program coaching staff can develop a pass rush game, that's a bonus, and that's ridiculous. So that's why I like Deron Payne, and that is kind of, I already see it kind of happening. So I do like Deron Payne a lot. And that's why I like Dexter Lawrence a lot in the draft this year. And the Giants, I like that pick. Same situation. Could be elite run stuffer right away. Could develop some sort of pass rush game. Could be very fun, very scary. But that's going to do it for this one. Let me know your guys' thoughts. If you guys thought I got one wrong, or anybody else you think's underrated, feel free to comment in the overrated video as well. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. Plenty other videos on the channel. Still got to do my final predictions of the year. That's coming this weekend for sure. Can't wait. Can't wait for next week. Our full coverage for the NFL starts. We got you covered. Please subscribe. Turn the notifications on. That'll be key. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.